face the same doom, researchers are to construct the dark and frozen conditions that took place on Earth after an asteroid megastrike. The apocalyptic time that many believe wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago has been reconstructed by scientists in unprecedented detail. They found tiny droplets of sulfuric acid formed high up in the air after the well-known impact of the large asteroid 66 million years ago blocked the sunlight for several years. They say this big chill had far more catastrophic effects than first thought, causing global temperatures to plummet for 3 years, even mixing ocean life. The big chill following the impact of the asteroid that formed the Chicxulub crater in Mexico in the Yucatan Peninsula, is a turning point in Earth's history. This is what Julia Brugger says from the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, PIK, the lead author of the study that was published on Geophysical Research Letters. She said, "We can now contribute new insights for understanding the much debated ultimate cause for the demise of the dinosaurs and the end of the Cretaceous era." Previous series focused on the shorter-lived dust ejected by the impact. The new computer simulations show that the droplets resulting in long-lasting cooling are a likely contributor to the death of land-living dinosaurs. The team said that these dramatic environmental changes suggested a pivotal role of the impact in the end Cretaceous extinction. Plants died and death spread through the food web. An additional kill mechanism that might have been a vigorous mixing of the oceans caused by the surface cooling severely distributed marine ecosystems. To investigate the phenomenon, the scientists used computer simulations normally applied in different contexts, a climate model coupling atmosphere, ocean, and sea ice. It adds to previous research showing that sulfur-bearing gases that evaporated from the violent asteroid impact on our planet's surface were the main factor for blocking the sunlight and cooling down the Earth. In the tropics, annual mean temperature fell from 27 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius. It became cold, really, really cold, says Brugger. Global annual mean surface air temperature dropped by at least 26 degrees Celsius. The dinosaurs were used to living in a lush climate. Eventually, the ice caps expanded. Even in the tropics, annual mean temperature went from 27 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius. The long-term cooling caused by the sulfate aerosols was so much more important for the mass extinction that the dust that stays in the atmosphere for only a relatively short time. It was also more important that local events like the extreme heat close to the impact, wildfires or tsunamis, says co-author Greg Fulner, who leads the research team at PIK. The study of Earth's past also shows that efforts to study future threats by asteroids have more than just academic interest. Fulner says, it is fascinating to see how evolution is partly driven by an accident like an asteroid impact. Mass extinctions show that life on Earth is vulnerable. It also illustrates how important the climate is for all life forms on our planet. Ironically, today the most immediate threat is not from natural cooling, but from man-made global warming. Researchers study the resulting Mexico impact crater, recently creating a stunning animation to show that the object that hit the planet may have slammed nearly all the way through the Earth's crust. The animation shows the impact causing the Earth's surface to slosh back and forth like a liquid. The finding could help explain how impacts can change the faces of planets and how collisions can create new habitats for life. Speaking to Life Science, Sean Gulick, the marine geophysicist at the University of Texas at Austin and co-author of the study, explained that while asteroids do occasionally hit the Earth, changes to the surface are largely the result of rain and wind, as well as plate tectonics, which generate mountains and ocean trenches. Other rocky planets in our solar system, such as Mars, differ as weather and plate tectonics have little effect on the surface. Mr. Golet said the key driver of surface changes on those planets is constantly getting hit by the stuff from space. The researchers from Imperial College London and the University of Texas at Austin hope to learn more about the impact effects found on other objects in the solar system. Large craters often have rings of hills, known as peak rings in the center, but studying these is difficult, and they mostly exist on extraterrestrial rocky bodies and are hard to access. To overcome this issue, the researchers looked at the Chicxulub crater in Mexico, the Yucatan crater, which was the result of the huge asteroid crash 66 million years ago. The crater represents the only intact peak ring on Earth which has not been eroded. The researchers drilled 0.8 miles down, that's 1,335 meters, below the seafloor to examine rock samples at the impact site. In the samples, they discovered granite, which was likely to have been buried deep for about 500 million years. Mr. Golet said these deeply buried rocks rose up to the surface of the Earth within the first few minutes of the impact. They showed evidence they experienced a high degree of shock from the impact. After the asteroid had hit, the researchers believed that the Earth would have behaved like a slow-moving fluid. Mr. Golet said the stony asteroid would have opened up a hole probably almost the thickness of the Earth's crust, 18 miles deep, and on the border of 80 to 100 kilometers, that's 50 to 62 miles wide. The Earth would have then begun to flow to fill in the hole, collapsing the size of the crater inwards, he said. Mr. Golet said at the same time, the center of this hole starts reaching upward, like when you throw a rock in a pond and you get the water droplet rising in the middle. The center would have risen up from the surface of the Earth as much as 9 miles high, and then become gravitationally unstable, collapsing downwards and outwards. The BBC described the rock lifting as creating instant Himalayas, which is around 8,884 meters. This process would have resulted in the peak ring of mountains. As well as understanding this process, the researchers also discovered that the rocks from the peak rings were more porous and less dense. This would have provided niches for simple organisms to take hold. At the same time, nutrients would have been provided from the water heated inside the Earth's crust. Professor Joanna Morgan, the lead author of the study from Imperial College Department of Earth Science and Engineering, said the early surface of the Earth was mainly solid granite, lacking spaces for life to evolve. She said the impact created rocks that were highly fractured with a ridiculously high porosity. This was basically quite a good thing for early life. The little gaps in the rocks provided a habitat for tiny organisms to grow, she said. She added, it's hard to believe that the same forces that destroyed the dinosaurs may have also played a part much earlier on in Earth's history in providing the first refugees for early life on the planet. We're hoping that further analysis of the core samples will provide more insights into how life can exist in these subterranean environments. It's by Mark Prigg, Daily News, Daily Mail UK, Unbended Reality. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.